I think there's going to be consequences for this. I know, Themba, you keep saying history will judge them harshly. I don't know who history is and when history is going to strike, because it's just acting. But we appointed, the president appointed Shamila Batofi a few months ago, a few years ago. She's now going to reach the end of her term. She has nothing to show. What's going on? I mean, she keeps saying, and my specific question is about her or the NPA making an announcement that they're going to go after the Guptas to try and get them extradited to South Africa. But Duduzane Zuma was a key partner of the Gupta enterprise. He comes and goes all the time. Surely, why do they not arrest her? Or is it just the Guptas? Why are they leaving Zuma around? Are they afraid? Is the NPA so infested with Zuma supporters that nothing is going to happen? There will not be consequences for state capture.
I think the best way to understand this is by understanding the fact that during state capture, these guys started off as just greedy business people. They became sophisticated. They understood what it would take for them to become multi-billionaires using our taxes. So what they did was to identify key aspects of the state. Law enforcement became an important part of what they were trying to do. They made sure that the police were weakened, weak people were appointed. They made sure that the NPA was captured in the sense that they appointed very weak people who were part of their establishment. Mm-hmm. They made sure that the intelligence agencies were not just looted, but they also were used to cover up their tracks. Right. They wanted to take charge of national treasury by appointing ministers who were part of their criminal establishment. And their next target, in my view, was going to be the Reserve Bank, because they knew that if they also controlled the Reserve Bank, they would have had access to the public purse. Right. So that was part of the strategy. So they weakened the establishment, the state apparatus, which made it possible for them to steal as much as they could, and that they would end up not facing consequences of their actions. So Batoyi, I believe, has her heart in the right place. She just lacks capacity. She doesn't have the people to do the kind of investigations that need to be done to make sure that there is successful prosecution. Remember, these guys also have large funds. They can get the best possible lawyers. Now, if you get a weak case that goes to court, our courts are independent, and we could end up losing many of these cases that are instituted. So they're trying to do their best to build capacity, to employ the right kind of people, so that when cases are taken to court, they are guaranteed a prosecution. Now, at this stage, my concern is that, in fact, they do not have capacity to implement or prosecute as many of the implicated people. But the Zondo Commission report is coming out now. The Zondo Commission did a lot of investigation, a lot of detective work and forensic work was actually done. So it is possible, in my view, and I'm hopeful that when that report comes out, the NPA may actually be in a better position to receive documents, files, and evidence that point to possible prosecutions, and that, in fact, the process could be expedited somehow in the next few years. But the worry is that, in fact, the state is not giving enough resources so that they can build the muscle to prosecute all those who are implicated in state capture. But I think that Batoyi has her heart in the right place. She just needs the capacity to do it.
But the state, when you say the state, you mean the ANC, because the state is controlled by the ANC, and many of the people who are implicated in all the wrongdoing that happened. Now, in the ANC, they were protected they continue to be protected by the African National Congress. So how does South Africa free itself from this logjam?
I'm pinning my hopes that, in fact, the President Ramaphosa is going to put enough resources into the NPA so that they do their prosecutions. I'm equally optimistic that we've got a very vibrant civil society organizations in the country who will make sure that if prosecutions are not done by the state, there will be private prosecutions, because our law does allow that. I remain optimistic because we have a very vibrant media and press. If there is a slowing down of prosecutions, our media will expose it. We also have a very strong and independent judiciary. If private prosecutions are brought up, I believe that, in fact, these people will indeed be prosecuted. But my hope is that President Ramaphosa will actually give Batoyi a blank check to say, go and find the skills, go and find the people to help you prosecutions, and let's get the ball rolling. Because you're right. I mean, some of these crimes were committed more than a decade ago, and it's just taking too long to do the prosecutions. But
Deputy Justice Raymond Zondo himself did say, look, Batohi or the NPA doesn't have to wait. There's already a lot of information that we have uncovered, that we have investigated, that we've made or prepared to make available to the NPA. So, I mean, waiting for the report, when the judge himself said, wait, you don't have to wait for the report. The information is there. I'm getting the feeling that we keep kicking the ball down, further down the road, and South Africans keep falling for the trap. Oh, no, just wait. No, there's sufficient information for Batohi to act. She's not acting.
The issue is that for a case to be presented before a judge, it needs to be a prosecutable case. So it must be ready. Because, for example, I went to the Zondo Commission, I did an affidavit, presented it to the Zondo Commission and made my evidence there. But when we go to court, an affidavit must be redone to make sure that it meets the tests of being a criminal case in a court. So it's not going to be sufficient for a file to be presented simply from the Zondo Commission to a court. It needs to be, a file must be received as evidence, but that evidence must be translated into a formal charge. And you need very smart people to take the evidence from the Zondo Commission and turn them into a charge sheet that must be presented before a court case. But the issue of speed, I mean, there's no argument about that. I'm agreeing with you. I think that NPA needs to be capacitated, make sure that when those files are received, that translated or converted into charge sheets so that prosecutions can begin. Because the last thing, Solly, we need is for these people to be prosecuted in court and the judge says, but this is not sufficient evidence, and those people go scot-free. And remember, if you're charged and you're discharged or recused by a court, chances are that you may never be charged again in the future. So Batoyi is correct in saying, I want to be confident that when I present a charge sheet before a judge, it is a charge sheet that will actually hold and somebody will be prosecuted.
But Themba, you're saying to me that the information coming directly from the Zondo Commission is not necessarily ready to be taken to a court of law. I understand that, but surely the judge already made it clear that they could access some of that information 2-3 years ago. They could have accessed. So they should be on some cases. They should have taken some of that information and taking it further down. So they should be at a point where they are ready to prosecute some people. They can't say, let's wait for the judge, for the Zondo Commission to present its report, because even the information coming from the report might not be ready to be taken to the court. You know what I'm saying? So they can't, it's safe to say we keep, wait for this one, wait for this one. No. When the report comes out, they will get information in there, some of which might need further investigation, maybe, in order to be presentable in front of a court. But that information is already available to them throughout. I think we shouldn't be making excuses for Batohi. Okay, sure, we can't blame her if she doesn't have the resources, if the NPA is infested with people who are planted in there by Zuma, who would deliberately making sure that nothing happens. But it's frustrating South Africans. Sometimes we must choose between looking at South Africa from the perspective of the ANC and looking at South Africa from the perspective of South Africa. And a lot of time we got caught up in making excuses for a president of the ANC, for the ANC processes, frustrations. No, South Africa can't always be waiting for the ANC. I'm sorry.
We have to understand. I mean, I'm equally impatient. I think that there are cases that, in my view, are clear-cut cases that I think should have been presented to court now. So I equally share your concerns. The point of the matter is that I think part of Batoyi's concern at this stage is that, does she have the capacity, does she have the people inside the NPA who can be able to stand up in court and say, here's a case, Minister so-and-so did the following, here's the evidence, let's go. Yeah. Remember that a lot of these suspected individuals have very deep pockets. They're going to get the best possible lawyers and advocates to represent them in court. But the state, does it have the capacity to actually withstand and stand and act against some of these culprits if they do not have the very strong, powerful, experienced advocates within the NPA who can be able to do the prosecution. So that's the concern I have, and I suspect that is Batoi's dilemma at this particular point in time. But I remain optimistic that, in fact, she's getting close to it. I understand the impatience. I think she's getting close to it. We may say, because you don't need 100 people prosecuted. All South Africans want is to just find 10 or 15 individuals who are very crucial to the state capture project, get those people prosecuted and locked up, wearing orange overalls. And I think South Africans will see that there's progress. But unfortunately, if you understand that the damage was done in the NPA was done over a decade, it can't be fixed within 2 or 3 years. It takes a lot of time and work to get these things ready to be prosecuted.